Shit, guys, it's happening. I'm back, and dude, boy, do we have a great fucking show. Like always, because that's the only way we know how to do it. No, I'm so excited. We've got we've got Laurie Foster, whom I got to chat with that last week on her show, and she, of course, decides she's gonna bring out the big guns. And I'm not talking about those fucking biceps of hers. No, she brings Matt Frank along. Holy fuck. So we've got just some amazingness going on tonight. You guys are going to have a blast. I have no fucking doubt. I'm going to make sure that everyone can see this. Brian Manel's in the fucking house. Good to see you, buddy. That is awesome. Let's edit this audience to make sure. Brian, are you going to be jumping back and forth again between Matt? Are you going to be jumping back and forth between YouTube and Facebook? It'll look like I got like double the views or some shit. Yeah, whoever's on, I mean, much like Brian's already doing, feel free to like, share, comment, all that crazy shit. Dude, we're gonna, like I said, we're just gonna have a blast today. So excited to hang out with these guys. They're just absolutely amazing, and we already shooting the shit and having fun in the background before you guys showed up. If I see your Facebook feed, I'll probably hop on there. I did throw it up there. Dude, something went wrong with it. Luckily, Laurie is like a powerhouse and helped me out. Well, really, she just said, just go to the source, man. I was like, oh, okay, yeah, fair enough. So, but Facebook wasn't showing it off at all. But now it is, which means that it might take a little bit for us to get some people, but the numbers are going up, so that's good. Share it around. Of course. See, he's back in Facebook. Good to see you, buddy. Always nice to see the Flowey. Yeah, share it around. Tell everyone what's going down because these guys have a fucking great project. I got to check out the book. I have to pull it out because the only name I know by is but it is Miss Medusa's Monstrous Menagerie, otherwise to me known as. So yeah, we're gonna be talking about that. We're gonna be talking about what they do. We're just gonna be having a fucking blast. So hold the fuck on. We are going to bring them in right after we have the fun.
Canadian bacon is actually really good, and it's nothing like normal bacon, and it's better than ham, which you guys seem to call Canadian bacon. I'm very good at writing. I write very well. Yeah, it's Shop Talk.
Do some of your audience members like the word fuck? Cool. Then I'm going to keep saying fuck. Because I care.
Look at this kaiju motherfucker right here.
All right, enough of that.
Dude, that's awesome. Matt, before we get started, you know what's insane is you and I were at a con together, and I was too nervous to go talk to you. So the first time I'm speaking to you is right here. It was at I'm based out of San Antonio, so it was at the one in San Antonio. I think this happened just in a week or two, but I heard you in town. And I was like, oh fuck, I don't even know what I'd say.
Well, geez, man, I didn't realize you were in my hometown. I'm from I was born and raised there, and like I went to Ronald Reagan High School, and I raised in what is it, Castle Hills Forest, and man.
Oh my gosh.
It's really funny.
So you'll know it. I'm in Canyon Lake.
Oh, dude, that's just I lived in Canyon Lake for like half a year because my parents had a lake house there, and I had no money, so I lived there for like this is before I was like a full-time comic artist and like had money to pay rent. So yeah, dude, that's really funny. I used to go to the Super S. Is that what it is? The big grocery store down the road. Yeah,
yep.
I made sure. I mean, oh my God, it's such a mind. What a mind job! I love it.
Well, and it's fucked up because you and I have that connection, and then of course Laurie and I are both Canadian, so we have that connection.
There you go.
So yeah, dude, we're gonna have so much fucking fun tonight.
That's funny. I love it.
Oh yeah, we have. So Laurie, you might like this. I don't know how well you know of this. I don't. It's funny. Sometimes I'll mention certain parts of Canada, and people won't. Other Canadians will be like, I don't know that. So do you know about Nanaimo bars?
Yes.
They're fucking great, right?
Oh my god, I haven't had one in so long.
So a Nanaimo bar is like this little like chocolatey fudge kind of thing, but it's got like a creamy center, and it's got on the bottom it's like a graham cracker mixed with coconut kind of thing.
This sounds amazing.
Oh, it's
So good.
yeah, and you have to have it in little bar. Like it's like fudge. You have to have a little piece because it just you could never make a chocolate bar out of it. It's too much.
Interesting.
So there's this place in Dallas called the Maple Leaf Cafe, and they do Canadian food with a Southern twist. And so when I did Dallas Fan Expo there, I was like, fuck yeah. I did it 2 years in a row, and I went there both times, and they treated me like a fucking king, and it was amazing. So a buddy of mine went down to Dallas recently, and I told him, I was like, you got to hit he's a huge Canadian file, and I was like, you got to check the place out. Like, dude, have a good time, blah, blah, blah. And they went there, and he's like, you said something about a dessert. I was like, fucking Nanaimo bars, get some Nanaimo bars. And so they still couldn't say the name, but he messaged me later on. He's like, that shit is ridiculous. I was like, yeah, man. And he got to try real poutine, and he was so excited. He said it was amazing. So, oh, yeah. Dude, I'm so glad you guys are here. We're going to have a blast.
Hell yeah.
Sorry. Wow. I'm just blowing up over here. Matt, I first known you from Rage Select with Jeff, but discovered your art soon after. It's amazing. It's flipping amazing.
That's so sweet. I every time I tell Jeff that people know that there are people who know me through Rage Select first, he's like, "How? Why?" Like he's like, "That doesn't make any sense." And I'm like, I don't know, dude. It's a different audience.
That sounds annoyed. That's great.
Well, he's very Jeff. I love Jeff, but he's also a sad boy, and I had to build him up a little bit sometimes. But no, it's like I got recognized at an airport. Like I was going through security, and they were like, "You're Matt from Rage Select, right?" And I'm like, "That is one thing, yes." It's not usually the thing people think of about people. It's fun. It makes me eventually. I'm sure I'm going to get people come up to me and be like, I know you from Miss Medusa's Monstrous Menagerie. And I'll just be like, whoa.
I hope so.
Mm-hmm. I believe so. No, dude, this book is something else, dude. Like there's, you know when you get a book and you're easily able to be like, oh, it's this meets that, and I'm like, I don't know what the fuck it is. Like it's like very much its own thing. And I mean that that sounded like such a shitty way to say it, but I meant that with like all the love.
It's just funny. It's just funny to hear because it really is like this. It is like a totally unique entity unto itself. It makes it hard to like to pitch it, you know. I hope my connection's still okay. Y'all are getting a little pixelated on my end.
Yeah, you're jumping around a little, but we can hear you.
Yeah,
it's just your video.
Good. Okay. Yeah.
So just remain still.
Right. Then we won't know if you're frozen or not.
Right. That'd be great if he's actually frozen.
Partway through the process, it'll just be like this.
No, it's like when you're
you have half a mask
so
on.
Drunk face.
Where it's like,
yeah, right.
Yeah.
So, do you have a pitch, like a 2-sentence pitch for it, Matt? Like, do you have like an easy way of explaining it?
The closest way I've been able to explain it is, what did I say earlier? It was just a circus in the 60s owned and operated by mythological creatures in the American South. And
Yeah.
But I do see what y'all are talking about, because like recently I kind of had I had a discussion on Twitter where like twice in a row somebody would comment, and they're totally well-meaning comments, but there's always that person who says like, oh, it's this plus this plus this, it's Godzilla plus Mazinger plus Ava, and I'm like, so Pacific Rim, like
Right.
it's like, and on the one hand, it's like sometimes you invite the comparison because you're making references to stuff or you're inspired by something, but then other times you're like, it kind of it feels like it sometimes diminishes. Like not everything is a reference to something else. Like, can something kind of stand on its own? So it's tricky. It's a tough balancing act.
Yeah, and I feel you there, right? Like it would be nice if they can't nail it down a little bit, just because then it means that, hey, I made something unique and cool. But then on the other hand, it's like, okay, now how the fuck do I sell this thing if I don't know how to talk about it?
Yeah.
Right. And it doesn't really fit into just one genre either. And that makes it kind of like, people are like, well, what genre is it? And I'm like, comedy, drama, horror.
Yeah, I would be like, I mean, I don't know. I haven't really seen the horror aspect so much, just in the first issue.
Issue two.
Yeah, okay. Look at you, issue 2. Okay. I mean, so like just reading the first one, if you had to like hit me and say, Chuck, what genres are these? I'd be like historical fiction, slice of life, because it does kind of have a little bit of that feel, and mythos. You know what I mean? Like I would kind of basically, or fantasy. So I would, mythical fantasy basically is, those are kind of the three I would throw at it. But again, still doesn't do it justice. It doesn't say anything helpful necessarily.
It's just the damnedest thing, because like I originally conceptualized it. Like I came up with the very basic concept. I mean, Paul took it and just ran with it. But
that's Paul Hanley, your partner, right?
Yeah. Really, it's honestly, it's his book nowadays. Like it's just because, well, okay, he basically started writing it before I even like said, hey Paul, do you want to write this? Like, because I pitched him the basic concept just to get some ideas from him, because I've been working in licensed books for a long time, and I wanted something like I want to get some original stuff out there. And this idea came to me actually based on a poster I designed for SoonerCon in Oklahoma City. And that's where Gina, the main character, the mascot character, kind of came from.
Yeah.
Which, don't worry guys, I got their permission. Like, it's all copacetic, it's all gravy. But when I was kind of conceptualizing this as a story, Paul just started writing stuff. He started coming up with stuff. It's like, oh, we should do this, and you should do this, and you should do this. And can I write like backup stories? Can I write like little interstitial stuff? Can I write like every other issue or whatever? And eventually I was like, Paul, you just want to write this? Like, because this requires a level of attention to detail for very specific hyperfixations that are not my hyperfixations. And not to say that it's just Paul was already kind of jumping in, and I could see his wheels turning. And I was like, Paul, you just do it, man. I'm just the donor sperm or whatever you want to call me. Right.
The foot's already on the pedal. Why ask him to put the brakes on a little bit, right? Like,
yeah.
No, I totally feel you there.
Yeah, so as a result, like, just it didn't even really have like a genre. It just had this character, and it had that core character, this core idea of like a carnival of monsters, quote unquote. And that's not exactly a completely original idea. There's that idea has been toyed with in a couple of other stories, but I don't think it's ever been like the focus in
Yeah.
this movie. So
Well, this is like there are zero humans. Like the only humans is the audience. Like that I saw.
oh yeah, the rubes are tend to be I
Yeah.
mean, not to give too much away, but by the time you actually read issue 2, uh some actual main human characters do start to appear and
Okay.
become consequential to what's happening.
Cool.
So yeah,
I would have been okay if that didn't happen. Like I didn't feel like I was like, oh,
Right.
there's not enough white guys in here. Where is my demographic? Like, no, I was okay, but like I don't see enough Gorgons. Let's do this shit. Let's see what's up.
Right.
I mean, any good monster story has to have. Well, I hesitate to use the word has to have, but it behooves a monster story, quote unquote, to have the human element to have something to bounce off of. It's kind of why I roll my eyes whenever people are saying like, why can't it just be a 2-hour movie about Godzilla fighting other monsters? And I'm like, first of all, that sounds exhausting. And secondly, if you don't have that human element, they kind of cease to be monsters.
Yeah.
Like a dinosaur show without humans is a nature documentary. And not to say that's not an interesting idea for monsters and stuff, but I don't know, like it opens up more storytelling opportunities.
No, I absolutely feel you. No, and that was a really good point. Actually, I like that. It just becomes a nature drama, a nature documentary, which is very true. Laurie's in the house. Hello, peeps. Also, great name, Laurie.
It's another
Excellent.
Laurie.
Thank you. You too.
Oh, thank you, Andrew. You're a sweetheart. I appreciate that. That sounds crazy and fantastic. Yeah. Like check it out. Well, you guys just hopped on Kickstarter today, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
2 hours ago, 3 hours ago.
Ryan nods thoughtfully. Ryan, this is a book that you would probably want to check out. Like we said. Now, again, like, what did you say your pitch was for this?
Okay. It's a traveling circus. Hi, Steve. It's a traveling circus in the American South in the 1960s that is owned and operated by mythological creatures and mythological characters. So gods and monsters and fae and nymphs and demigods and half-blooded things, and there's all kinds of creatures. I really should have put Medusa up in the background behind me, but it's a little cramped in this space, so maybe for the next live stream.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
What's up, Bishop? How you doing, buddy? No, dude. Yeah. I mean, so here's a question: the 1960s. Why so specifically the 1960s? Is there something about, of course, what was going on in the rest of the country at that time, or is it more just an appreciation for the time? Is it, hey, fuck cell phones, which we hear an awful lot of? Well, because I mean, cell phones, like, once you have a cell phone, that eliminates a lot of problems. Like, smartphones really do just, you now can do so much with them that it's like, fuck, I gotta break this thing somehow so that things can get difficult.
Well, yeah, I mean, so many modern horror movies have to rely on the conceit of, there's no reception, or my battery's dead, as opposed to just being a period piece. Which period piece horror sometimes is way scarier because they inherently have fewer resources at their disposal.
Yeah,
but you also have to like the characters at that point, and that's hard. But the if I remember correctly, I think the reason we set it in the 60s was because that was really kind of the heyday of the American circus. Because we actually talked about this on the live stream earlier, OSHA didn't come around until 1971. And a circus with the sort of mayhem required to keep it interesting with monsters would not be OSHA compliant in any way whatsoever. That was not the reason. It's just a happy accident.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, but the American circus of the kind that we were going for, again, it really had its that period, like the 50s and 60s. That was the nadir, like the real, like the height of the American circus.
Yeah.
And, I mean, and again, Paul just did a crazy amount of research, so like just books.
Dude,
It's ridiculous.
Books.
He really did. So first off, hey Han, what's going on? And Ryan says, thanks for not putting Medusa where she would turn us to stone. That is very much appreciated.
Well, read the book and you might actually learn some details about that.
Right.
Go ahead.
But you were dead on about that research. Like, even for myself, I am a big fantasy nerd. So my wife tends to, I think she'll appreciate the Greek aspect of it a lot more than myself. But for me, I love, you have brownies and different types of fae and dwarves and all that kind of stuff. And for me, that was exciting. And there was one point where I think one of the brownies was talking, and he started talking about Unseelie. And I was like,
The
dude,
union.
and I was like, the fact that you were able to make it a union when in fact it's something completely different. I was like, whoa, that's a whole other fucking level. And I love that because it's like a mega fantasy nerd Easter egg that a lot of people just probably wouldn't catch. And that's not my way of being like, yeah, what's up? It's more just like the fact that you guys had that and included that shit. That's like another fucking level. Like, seriously.
Well, I really appreciate those accolades. I mean, again, 99% of that was Paul, because he just went. I mean, I knew from the start that was going to be a factor. Like, there was going to have to be a lot of research, and there was going to have to be a lot of and a lot of attention paid, because it's, we have a lot of Greek stuff, obviously, especially characters like Calliope and Gina herself being a Gorgon, and a lot of other characters that start popping up. And then we also have, we have Native American characters. We have Fae and Northern Europe folklore, and we have we even have Japanese and Chinese folkloric characters and stuff, and just like. And Paul, again, he and I would like go to Half Price Books, and I remember I think I took him to Kinokuniya, the Japanese bookstore, and he just like zeroed in on this book on yokai and was like, I'm buying that. And Paul does not buy things, so yeah. And I learned so much. So Paul used to live just down the road from me, and I would go over to his place weekly. This was in the before 4 times. And he would like do dramatic readings of like his layouts and his scripts and stuff for me. And not like, I mean, he was doing voices. It was wonderful. And, and I would just be on the edge of my seat, but I'd also be learning stuff. Like, I'd be learning about all this stuff that I was like, I didn't know any of that. Like, never mind the circus stuff. Like, I now know what a roustabout is. And what a sidewaller is, and things like that. But we would also, again, we would just talk about these different mythological characters, and it would be just fascinating because you're not just learning about the character, you're learning about the culture. And that became a connecting point to another layer in the 7-layer bean dip of this fucking comic of like, okay, well, how would someone from this culture interact with basically white people, with normie white people from the American South in the 1960s? It adds an extra layer on top of that, because that a Native American character probably isn't going to be all that buddy with Whitey, especially having to like, I mean, we spent how long, Laurie, how long did we spend talking about Atomi? Like,
yeah,
like half an
Yeah,
hour.
there's a lot of layers to this. Being mythical creatures in the 60s, being non-white humans.
Yeah,
Well, and that brings up
Non-humans.
another aspect of the book, and that is, Laurie, how the fuck do you get involved in all this craziness?
please.
Um wow. I'm trying to think of how it started. Um so UHS, my previous partner with UHS was Zach Dolan. He passed away. But before he passed away, um I'm trying to get the timeline here. In any case, his brother had seen he was seeing some stuff that Paul was posting. Paul was posting some of the art and some of the stuff from both Unthinkables and Miss Medusa, and he messaged Paul and he was like, I know these people, and like they might be a consideration for publishing this stuff, because I know he was looking for a publisher, and I know you guys talked to, I'm not sure who you talked to, but like it didn't, nobody really meshed with you or whatever.
There were a couple of non-starters in that, but go ahead.
Yeah, and so he sent Paul to me basically, and Paul and I chatted for a while, and Paul looked at what we did and we looked at what he did, and I was like, sure, like let's go. He was like, I have, how many issues? 50, 56 issues
56
planned.
is his like pie in the sky.
Right.
Is that his 6 seasons in a movie sort of thing?
Right, like
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, it was a no-brainer for me to work with them and bring something like this to life, because I don't think anyone's really done anything like this. I think it's really unique. I think it's really cool. I think it's funny, and then just making the book too is a different process than any other book that we have, or that most people have, in that we have one person making backgrounds and one person doing character art. And that has to be brought together in cohesive scenes, so camera angles make sense. You can't just like paste people in. It has to function. So there's a lot more communication and back and forth. And like, I'm sure we've driven Matt insane getting this working. But and Paul really wants to, and I agree with him, to have these really, I don't know if you noticed, and it's somewhat rare in comics, but we have super detailed backgrounds on every single page.
Yeah.
Like nothing is left out of the backgrounds. There's no like gradient backgrounds. That doesn't happen most of the time. And all of those are drawn. They're drawn and they're colored from each angle. I inked some in issue 2, so I'm very familiar in depth with them now.
This is twice now.
Yeah. Sorry, go ahead.
No, all I was going to say was like, because I can't stop throwing accolades at Laurie. It's almost like she's wonderful and everybody is lucky to work with her. Laurie has bailed my ass out twice now on pretty heinous deadlines. And because just and especially like with those kind of backgrounds, like we've established a precedent for our backgrounds in Medusa, which on the one hand is like, okay, we have some prefab stuff that we can rely on that's like super detailed that Paul did, and then occasionally I'll have to come in and do some backgrounds because there are just some weird angles on stuff. But especially for issue 2, I didn't have a whole lot of time, so like I was saying, Laurie came in and helped out with that, and I just this whir of you and Paul going back and forth on these details of the backgrounds and stuff, and I'm just like, I will step back for now and just draw the same face over and over again. Checking on that later.
Sounds like you guys have this. Talk to you later. Is this? So, I mean, I know that Stray Dogs did something similar as well, where they had one artist doing backgrounds and whatnot, and another doing the characters. Is this something that we're seeing more and more? Like, is this happening more, or is this just we found the two people who are the two groups that are doing this?
I don't know. That's a good question. I wasn't aware of other people doing it, actually. I know sometimes people do it because they plan to animate the stuff later, and if you have separate foregrounds and backgrounds, it makes your life easier.
That makes sense.
But for us, it was just pure like anal retentiveness. It was like we need every scene to be perfect. I feel like that's what I don't.
Yeah. I mean, we're holding this book to a really high set of standards, and there's nothing wrong with that. It's just I'm sure that most of the people behind the scenes were probably ready to kill me at a certain point because I just had zero control over my schedule there for the last 2 years. And I now, thankfully, I feel like things are evening out a little bit, and I can kind of plan ahead. But I actually wound up doing something very similar in another book that I was doing at almost exactly the same time as issue 1 of Miss Medusa, which was Dinosaur War Eisenborg, which hasn't gotten released in the US yet, but it's the idea for that one was like kind of similar, where you had one artist doing one half of the book and another artist doing the other half. And the style of that original show was based on was a combination of live action and animation. So that led it to a very specific style. Whereas something like Medusa, I think it actually comes from just a combination of practicality and anal retentiveness.
That's great. We had a couple people here. John Westhoff. Wasn't Laurie green a little while ago?
So John, the plan was to be green here too, but my green was like flaking off, and I wanted to go eat, and I knew eating would make it worse, so I just ate and took a shower, and
If I was really committed to the bit, I would have been green for this one.
Right.
That would have been great.
Then I have to get around the beard somehow, and that's all right.
Well, and it's great because we had a lot of Matt love early on, and now we've got all the Laurie love happening, so that's great.
Yay.
And of course, Dom's in the house. Good to see you, Dom. So glad you guys are in. Guys, if you guys have any questions for this crew at all about anything, hopefully about the book that we're talking about today, that is, as I like to call it, but it's also well known as Miss Medusa's Monstrous Menagerie. I literally have to pull it up because I'm just like, to me, it's just.
It's a tongue twister too. We've made it difficult.
And I love alliteration. Like, I'm a huge fan, and if you ever catch me doing massive amounts of alliteration, I definitely smoked up. Like almost 100%. Like, I don't know what it is, but I get a little baked, and suddenly I'm just like, I'm only using this one letter. I don't know what it is.
I freaking love. No, yeah, I freaking love alliteration. I use it all the time and stuff. I did a cover for a Blu-ray of an old monster movie from the 70s, 60s, 50s. It was an old black and white Korean monster movie, and I could not stop myself from. I think I put like 2 or 3 different examples of alliteration in that title on the box art alone, because I just couldn't stop myself. Because I mean, I think it's really hard to replicate that that vibe of old monster movie posters where they'll say things completely unironically like dynamic violence and savage action. Now I'm just like, what did I? Hold on, I have to. You guys will appreciate this. I just have to pull it up. Hold on. I have to look for my own thing. But yeah,
good for you.
I did come up with the title for that. I did come up with the title Miss Medusa's Monstrous Menagerie, and I think, why did I call it that? Like I don't know. I wanted it to sound like it sounded like something a carnival barker or somebody with an old timey radio voice would say. Miss Medusa's Monstrous Menagerie.
With like the big bullhorn and everything.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Now, this is gonna sound like a backhanded compliment, Laurie, and it's definitely not meant that way, so please. But like Matt, oh my gosh. Right? Whichever. What was it about Unlikely Hero Studios where you were like, this is the proper home for this book?
I mean, honestly, so when we started and we were looking around for publishers, we were trying to go with a couple of some local guys and some people that we knew, but Paul was, of course, rightly so, very picky about the contract. And because y'all know the comic book industry sucks, and it's really hard to get stuff published where you retain the rights to it.
Look at Mr. Godzilla here mincing words. It sucks.
I mean, I don't think anybody
You're not wrong.
would argue with that. It's a very difficult industry to get going in. There's a ton of saturation in it. And on top of that, it's hard to get, it's also hard to get paid for stuff. And it's just like, anyway, but Paul was doing a lot of like the digging around for stuff for publishers. And when he suggested Unlikely Heroes, he was just like, nothing but all smiles, all compliments. He was just like, this just seems like a really good place to go. Like, I really like these people. And I'm like, all right. I trust your judgment on this. And of course, the more I got to know Laurie and Sarah and everybody else, and just the Unlikely Heroes crew, the more I was like, I like these kids. These are good kids. These are good beans, good eggs, if you will. And I mean, to the point where like I want to keep working with them on different stuff now. Like, I don't want to have to sit there and like, because like, not to toot my own horn, but I could probably work my connections and maybe get an Image deal like for something. But I also know that there's just as much of a chance for like an Image book to just flame out and die partway through the run, and or just nobody gets paid, because it's all back end, and that's really tough. And but when it comes to indie publishing, especially through a crowdfunding source, and especially to have a successful Kickstarter campaign, you need people to manage it. You need like basically a company to manage it for you, people who are good at it. And Laurie and the crew are really good at managing this stuff. Because I don't want to have to do it. I got stuff to do.
Well, I guess that's the nice thing about not dealing with an Image probably too, is that these guys are fucking hungry. And it's nice to not have to worry about that. Whereas like, when dealing with some of these bigger studios, I'm sure it's very much like they've got, like 50 other books happening right now, and at any time any of those ones could blow up. Whereas you've got these younger studios who are out, they're hungry, and they're like, hey man, we're gonna give this motherfucker our all, and it, like you can feel it. So I feel you, man. I think that's really cool of you to notice that, because it is the easy step to just be like, send it off to Image, see what happens. You know what I mean? Like, I know that it's going to hit an audience of some sort, and let's hope for the best. But like, I think it's very forward of you to be like, no, man, let's fucking invest. Like, there's some really cool options out here, and I think that was really shrewd.
Well, I mean, I was fortunate that Paul was so gung-ho about getting this thing made, because Paul believed in it from day one, which was, again, very gratifying, that he was so just like, this is a great concept, and I just had the barest essentials of a concept. I had Gina, I had Maurice, I had Belinda, and I had like maybe a couple other ideas for a giant ants. I knew I wanted giant ants, and
you got them.
And so, and I had this basic structure, this basic idea of like, it's organized chaos. It's every day something horrible is going wrong. And, the character of Gina, the character of Miss Medusa, is this kind of, I didn't have her as well developed as Paul eventually managed to stretch out, but I knew that she was going to be very much like kind of a flying by the seat of her pants, or I should say the seat of her snake skin. I knew that she was going to be one of those insufferable, like the office style bosses who's just kind of soldiers forward regardless of the morality of what's happening, the who she's plowing over to get to what she needs to get to. But yeah, with regards to these smaller, like these smaller indie startup publishers and these, you know, and another thing, as a fan, like as a geek and a nerd and a collector myself, doing a Kickstarter is really fun because you get to make merch. And like, I mean, Laurie knows I've already been sending her like lists of stuff that I want for like other Kickstarters and stuff. And she is just like, okay, Matt, but let's get the book finished first. Does you have anything ready? Yeah, John? Hey. But yeah, yeah.
A little bit.
Davey Lee's in the chat. Chuck's likes his sentence like he likes his hot sauce, spicy and sprightly. Ooh, nicely done. Muy caliente, my brother. Thank you. No, and again, guys, questions here. Why don't I put up the banner for you guys? Feel free to ask questions. We'll get to as many as possible. Yeah, we'll keep that up there.
I was gonna say, I found my poster for you can't really see it, but it's Space Monster.
Well, we can do this.
Oh, you can't see it unless I covered my face. No, it's not gonna work. Don't worry about it. And the alliteration on here is a malignant mastodon on a maelstrom of madness.
There you go. Yes.
So many great $5 words too in there. I love that.
I had the thesaurus out. I was doing my due diligence because I was like, because I think that I wanted a phrase with the word mastodon in it because old monster movie trailers would use the word mastodon more in its literal meaning than specifically referring to a hairy elephant. And and you like they'll say things like a terrifying mastodon on a psychotic rampage of electrifying horror. And I'm just like, man, you can't write shit like that anymore. you gotta wonder if they were like thumbing through thesauruses and stuff. It's like, what's another word for terrifying?
Right.
So,
but yeah,
I have thesaurus.com like right there, like ready. Just okay, cool. There you go.
Oh, yeah.
Tab ready to go.
Oh yeah, especially if you're writing your own stuff. I mean, I have thesaurus.com up for like Facebook posts I make because like I use like Facebook posts and Twitter threads as like writing exercises. So I'm like, no, don't use actually twice in the same sentence, you fuck. Just super aggressive at myself for no reason. Yeah.
You're that coach that you don't have. You know, that guy who's like just gonna be on your ass. And you know what? It's great because you can get away with so much more than that coach ever would be able to.
Well, you got to make sure that it doesn't. You don't want to be too hard on yourself. You don't want to be too mean to yourself because like I would do that a lot in the past, and it was just like, and then like people would overhear me and stuff, or they would it would slip out in like casual conversation, and they'd be like, "That's my friend you're talking about there. Like, don't."
Oh,
yeah. Are you okay?
And I'm like, no, I'm just goofing around. And then I finally, and I think it was my assistant Caston, someone finally was like, Matt, what that is a defense mechanism. You are being mean to yourself before anybody else can. And I'm like, for about 5 minutes.
How much do I owe you for that psychotherapy?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, my assistant also has a degree in psychology, so so she's like, Matt, this is why your brain is broken. Just kidding. No. But yeah, no, but just in general, you know, I think it's important to be kinder to ourselves, but also, you know, you do have to kick yourself in the ass a little bit, you know, and just be like, come on, you can do better than that. So
yeah. No, and I absolutely feel you. I think we're all there. And I mean, and it is a tightrope. So, you know, like for myself, I'll come down really, you'll come down really hard on yourself. You're like, come on, man, you got to get your shit together. What the fuck you been doing today? But then I'll do other things like whenever I buy myself a new notebook, I'll skim through a bunch of pages and just randomly somewhere in the middle, I'll write myself a little love letter to myself from myself. And I'll just be like, dear Chuck, man, I fucking love you. You just keep doing your shit, man. And then I'll close it and you forget about it. And then, you're working, you're on your ass and it's been tough. And then one day you open up and you find that love letter and you're like, that guy knows me. He is good to me. Thank you, man. So yeah, I think we all need those like little things that we do for ourselves, those little ways to treat yourself. And so for me, that's it. That's the new notebook thing that I'll do is write myself a little letter and great. I'm so happy I have a shitty memory because at some point I'll be like, oh hey, look what Patrick did. Oh, that dude loves me. That's great.
I have a note on that, an anecdote for that. I gotta get a plug for this laptop. I'll be right back.
Yeah, no, go ahead.
I get the plug.
Charge runs out.
In the meantime, Justin Hunt's here. What's up, dude? Sorry. And one more thing. Brian Manel frees himself from work, but then suddenly faces a gigantic space monster. Presents Kickstarter link as offering. It is pleased. Link to latest Kickstarter from Unlikely Hero Studios.
We do have a short link, Brian. That's just uhstudios.com/kickit if you want to type less.
There you go. uhstudios.com/kickit.
Yep. That's
nice. I like that.
Yeah.
Chuck, do you read those letters with tissues and lotion next to you? Anybody who tells you they don't have tissues and lotion at their desk at all times is lying to you.
Anyway.
Look, she shakes her head. Matt's like, oh.
Yeah, I feel you. I feel you. So I mean, anyway. Okay, so the answer. Okay, so not about that. It's something else. Okay, so with regards to like, you're just like I didn't remember that. I've been reminded of this. Having a shitty memory or whatever. So I am so rapid fire and so the way I describe it is I'm very fire and forget with a lot of the stuff I work on because I have ADHD, and one of the symptoms of ADHD is just doing all the things at the same time and doing a lot of them. And so I bounce around from project to project, and I will finish, but the physical act of finishing a thing does not release serotonin. It doesn't feel good. Like having to sit with something and finish it is agony. Planning something and coming up with something and doing something you're not supposed to be doing. It's a
right.
Yes, right.
But then you have to finish it. And so I will often finish stuff and then it'll just it's out there, or I fired it off to the client or whatever. It's done. I'll come back around. This is actually the second time now on a live stream that I'm doing for a thing that I did, and I'll see the thing I did on that live stream, and I'll be like, "Oh wow, that looks pretty good." Oh right, I made that. Just like I'll be like, "Oh yeah, I guess I know what I'm doing, huh?"
I do that art. Oh yeah, I can draw.
Like I was literally, I was going through my Instagram to find that art, and I was just like, "Oh yeah, I did that. Oh yeah, I did that. Oh yeah, that's pretty good." Like those Miss Medusa sketch covers I did for issue 1. Like I still go back to those, and I'm just like, "Oh man, like." Oh my God! Like, look at that! Like,
good.
Or we were doing the announcement trailer for Medusa 2, and there's those little pictures of the Fae that are in there, and they're on my panels, and I was like, oh, that looks pretty good. Oh yeah, I did those like 2-3 weeks ago or whatever. Whenever I did them. And for a minute, I forget it's mine. I forget that I was the one who did that. There's just a hard line of demarcation where this is, that's out of your head. So anyway,
I know. I love that because I feel you. Like recently somebody sent me just a picture of a comic book. And I was like, cool, yeah, looks like it could be a good book. And he's like, no, man. My cousin, I'm at a family reunion. My cousin brings this from Cincinnati, and he's like, I know that you really like indie comics. My friend made this. I want you to check it out. And he goes, that's cool that your friend made it, because my friend edited it. And there I was in there, and I was like, oh shit, I didn't even know I worked on that. That's fucking awesome. I didn't remember that. So that was really awesome. So he's just like, he showed me a picture of a book, and I was like, good for you. That's a comic. And I was like, oh, did I work on that? Oh,
Wait a minute.
that's awesome. Okay, cool.
Oh man.
You know what? I have to say, I always did kind of want to get to that point. You know, where you worked on just enough stuff that you could be like, oh, fuck, that was me? Great. Cool. Well, good. That's pretty great.
Yeah, no, I was kind of lamenting about this earlier in the previous live stream. A bunch of the stuff that I worked on earlier this year, all of those other shoes are dropping now. So like the last couple of weeks have just been me just firebombing Twitter with stuff asking people to spend money on other stuff. Like just it's like, oh yeah, I have a cover coming out I have a new Godzilla cover coming out that's an IEW exclusive. You can order it here. Oh, I have a new Godzilla t-shirt coming out. You can pre-order that here. Oh, I have a Kickstarter I worked on, and that's going live. And it's just like, and then I'm looking, I'm like, wait a minute, do I have oh crap, I have a con this weekend. Oh man, I gotta start telling people to come out for that. And just
Yeah.
They're going to the con anyways. You'll be fine.
Well, if they're paying for you to go,
Yeah, I know.
paying for your hotel and stuff, and your
Right.
gas money for your car, you should probably put a little bit of work into like, oh yeah, whatever.
Never had that problem, but okay, I feel you.
It's just the professional courtesy of it.
Absolutely. No, that makes sense.
But I get you. Yeah. Oh, whoa.
Brian says, what's the balance dynamic like between creators and publishers? Any tips from both perspectives with how one another can work with each other well?
So
Nicely asked, Brian.
Yeah, that's a good question. From my end of things, I treat it like a collaboration and not like a publishing deal. So anyone who signs a contract, it's a collaboration contract. It's different from a publishing contract. I don't just take the creator's shit and run away with it and keep it. It's very the contract is definitely leaning in the favor of the creator and not in favor of me. And I tell them that every time, and they're usually skeptical, and then they read it and they're like, no, okay, well. So everybody that we work with at UHS is like someone that we want to work on a team with. It's not just a book that we want to throw out there. It's like a group of people that we want to work closely with and work on other stuff. And like it's a collaboration. It's not like I'm the publisher and you're the creator. I don't want it to work like that.
And never the two shall meet. No, I like that. That's really nice.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's definitely what
Mike Watson in the house. Good to see you, bud.
I mean, that's definitely one of the things that attracted me to UHS, and also just simply from working with them, because I mean, even though Laurie works too hard and has too much going on, she still makes you feel like your shit is the stuff that yours is the thing that matters, and you're
the only client. Yeah.
And I think it's a very unique skill that not everyone can do. And I mean, obviously there are going to be days where she is, putting out fires and stuff, but like for the most part, I sometimes forget, like, oh, right, you have a life outside of this book that I'm doing. Just like, and but being on the creative side of things and being the person making the thing, or rather the person bringing, that person, I think it's important to be patient with your publishers and your collaborators and stuff, because there will be those times where it's like, you are not the center of their universe. And I mean, obviously, be communicative is the most important thing. I think is to be communicative and be honest, because like only just recently have I finally been able to say things like, "Hey, I'm giving you a heads up. This, and this is happening," or "I don't think I'm going to be able to do this, and this." And if you can get that to your publisher or your collaborator or editor, if you can get that to them as quickly as possible, even if they're upset, more likely than not, they're going to be like, okay, well, let's do X, Y, and Z so we can avoid this problem.
Yeah.
Because a lot of creatives don't want to be honest about stuff like that. Because they are so worried that they're just going to get kicked to the curb. And I mean, there are certain situations where that does happen, but in that situation, that may not have been a relationship you wanted to foster in the first place, because you want to work with people who are going to value you and who are going to want to work with you. And I say that as someone who has worked with a lot of companies in the past, some of which have been like, okay, who are you again? Like I'll message like a little while after a project is done, and they'll just be like, who, what? Oh, no, like go away. And it's like, so it's another reason why I like working with folks like Unlikely Heroes, because again, you feel appreciated, you feel valued.
Yeah.
So
yeah. Starting something is more enjoyable. I guess that makes sense because I have ADHD as well. Yeah. So we're seeing that correlation there. Justin Hunt says, no, go ahead.
Oh, no. I was just going to say, I think about half of the people involved in any given UHS project have ADHD of some variety. And,
so, Laurie, how hard is it to find the finishers? Like,
well,
so we've definitely had to. So the communication thing that Matt was talking about is really important when you're working with artists and artists who have ADHD, because ADHD can make your life, it can make their life, the artist, difficult, because they'll get stuck on something and they just literally cannot finish it. And it's not laziness, and it's not their brain chemically cannot allow them to finish it. So there has to be some flexibility and some communication with like, okay, well, like I can't do it today. It's gonna have to be a few days. I need to bounce over to this other thing and like refresh my brain and get my dopamine back up, and then I'll get back over to that. And having that understanding and that communication, I think has, and understanding how that works, and how I guess I'm trying to think of how to put it. Just the dynamic and the way to make it pleasant for everyone to work on it and to finish projects without a struggle, and communicate about it. Yeah.
I mean, oftentimes
I think we're figuring it out.
Oh yeah. I mean, no. I mean, like oftentimes ADHD is also rarely alone. And a lot of creative people tend to be neurodivergent on some level, because we'll get fixated on something that is not what one would consider a normal career path, because it's not interesting or engaging for somebody who is neurodivergent, especially for somebody who has ADHD. And like I said, there's every possibility that your artist or your writer with ADHD probably also has something else that it comes with. Yeah. And it's just, and I think it's there's always a balance to be struck between being patient with someone who has these challenges, but also they have to have the understanding that while it's not their fault that they have this thing, it is their responsibility. And there has to be a balance there of being able to make your deadlines, or at the very least be communicative about not being able to make your deadlines, because I've definitely blown a few of those in my life, and I am getting slightly better about that. Most of it
Yeah,
didn't
for yeah.
paying
You
someone.
sounded so fucking confident there.
Well, I literally had to start paying someone to manage my schedule and my workload and stuff. So which is why I will often tell Laurie, what does Casa say? She says you have to lie to Matt or tell me like when stuff is due. So,
Right. Yes, that is something I have adopted actually with a few, not to give away any secrets, but with a few team members, I'll give them a deadline that's earlier than the actual deadline.
yeah.
Um,
Well,
and it
that's like
works
the
really
whole changing your alarm clock, right? Like, oh,
Mhm.
if I make it so that it's a little bit earlier or whatever, yeah. So yeah, absolutely, I feel you there. Justin says communication is key, especially in this industry. Yeah, absolutely,
Mhm.
yeah,
especially
like
because there's so many moving parts.
yes, and I am like I want to be drama free. I hate drama. I hate bullshit. I just want to talk face to face about things. I want to be straightforward. If there's a problem, tell me there's a problem. If I'm doing something you don't like, tell me, and vice versa. Like, I just want it to be easy and no weird
Yeah.
shit and no drama. Like, that's it.
Yeah. It can be
That's
exhausting.
why. Yeah, I like to say the real conversations have to happen like voice or face to face or something like something like this where it's like, hey, this is about to go bad. So before it does, let's go and talk to each other's face, and that'll probably keep us from saying the crazy shit. But also, we can read one another and have a better idea of what's going down. And I find that usually that helps it an awful lot.
I mean, yeah, 100%. Like like in a lot of times you don't even realize that you're creating drama just by just some action of some kind, and you might be totally in your own head. Speaking from personal experience, being overwhelmed with like 5 different projects at once, and you're ping-ponging between stuff, but that means that you're not paying attention to some critical detail that gets missed,
Yeah.
which happened to me a couple of times, like just like, oh, was that, uh-oh, and I think it's important to also, I mean, we're just getting into basic life advice here. Just, when somebody says something, try to see what they're saying about the behavior, not necessarily that they're saying you're an asshole for, it's like intent doesn't always matter.
Yeah.
What matters are the actions, and that's hard to internalize. But
Yeah. Speaking of details, Dominic says, "Okay, I've been looking at it every stream. I'm finally going to ask, what's up with the bacon heart in the corner?" So the bacon heart, my dude Kevin made that for me, and it's because Canadian bacon comes up a lot, and everybody knows I'm all about the love. So he made me a delightful little bacon heart because you have to have fucking StreamYard unless I'm willing to put some money into it. You have to have something up in that corner. So we put the bacon art up there for certain shows just to show the love.
I love it.
Yeah.
I'm here for it, man. It's so good.
Dude, great to have you, Justin. I really appreciate you coming out, man.
Yeah.
Brian comes in. Dude, I love this guy for questions. I haven't read it yet, by the way, so we'll see. We'll find out together. Laurie, as someone who's a writer, editor, inker as well, does having that experience help in the publishing side? Do you still work on projects outside of the publishing realm as well with those skills too?
Um, wow, that's a lot of okay. Yes, yes, definitely projects outside of the publishing realm for sure. I'm all over the place. I do probably too much stuff.
You should have just
Are you
ended
okay?
it. Yes. No, it's really
Yes,
great.
yes.
When I saw that, he was like, "Yes." Next question. Like,
Next
oh,
question.
fucking
Let's
awesome.
go.
Keep them coming. Give us another paragraph. We can be like, sometimes.
Maybe. In terms of helping on the publishing side, yeah, I think so. I think having an artist perspective helps me work with artists better than someone who's just, coming in and they're a publisher and they haven't experienced that side of things. Same with editing. I mean, I'm kind of, because we're a small publishing company, I'm kind, I'm an editor, I'm an art director, I'm kind of doing a little bit of everything. So yeah, I think actually being able to do it is helping.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I have to tell people all the time, like, I'm trying to learn, especially in editing. I feel like in editing, you have to know as much of the different portions as well as possible. And taking lettering courses, and I have no intent on doing it, but just the more that you know it, the more you can be helpful in the process. And I've had to say it many times, like, dude, coloring is my weak link. I just don't have it. So all I can tell you is it's pretty, or there's something about it that's not working for me, or
Right.
like it's very, and so all I can tell you is I like it or I don't, and I can give you some very rudimentary reasons why, and maybe you can figure it out, and maybe I'm wrong. Fuck it, I'm fine with that. But I think the more knowledge you have in certain fields and whatnot, the more useful you can be just across the board.
Yeah. No, as I've gotten to know Laurie over the years, she continuously impresses me with the number of hats she's worn, and all these like weird hidden skills where I'm just like, you can do what now? You spent how many years doing what? And just like, so it's Renaissance woman over there, like mildly infuriating, because I'm just like, man, I want to do stuff. I want to know how to do stuff other than just draw lizards.
Yeah, I make fun of myself with Matt a lot, because I'll come out of nowhere and be like, yeah, I'm really into this one thing, and I did it for a whole, and he's like, wait, when?
What?
Like, what? I'm kind of a nerd about everything. Like I don't know. I'm weird. I don't really know how to explain it.
Well, and then, like, I mean, not to dogpile on the whole thing, but then you're also doing the cosplay covers and stuff too, and I'm like, what the fuck, man? Like, seriously. Like, that cover for Reina is badass, by the way.
Thank you.
Right?
It's beautiful. It's like, seriously. I mean, it just, there's something so, like, stark about it. You know what I mean? I don't know how to, like, because there's so few details to it, and yet it's also impressive just in that with so little there, it still evokes so much. I don't even know how to explain it, but I fucking love that cover.
Thank you. Are you referring to the one that's just my face, or the new one that I did? Because I did a new one.
Well, so I did use it as the picture, but no one got to see it. It's you with the sword, kind of crouched around it and whatnot.
Okay, yeah.
Dude, I fucking love that piece.
Like, I'm literally, I'm thinking about projects in the future and thinking, like, how the fuck can I get a Laurie cosplay cover out of this?
I want to. You don't know how badly I want to, like, Weird Al it and do, like, a fat guy version of it. I just like. But have it be like a knife or something, and just be like,
oh
no, you have to.
now you have
and
to.
It's dark, and you have all the implied nudity. Oh, you got
right?
it. That would be awesome. Yes,
I want to see it.
Just for you, man. Just for you.
Do it. Yeah.
Get out of your comfort zone.
I tell you what, though. Sorry, go ahead.
Also, love the conversation and insight of communication between publisher and creator. Thank you.
Of course.
Yay.
Yeah, I was gonna say it was. We shot that outside, and I'm in Montana, so it was pretty cold. It was outside at night. I'm pretty sure the neighbors were. What the hell is going on? Why is she naked outside? What is happening?
That Laurie, look what she's doing again.
Oh, those friggin' weird ass neighbors again. What are they doing?
Is this some weird
this giant thing? Sword around?
That seems like it's all. That seems like it's some pagan shit.
Right?
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
Yeah. I told you we should check out her OnlyFans. I don't know what's going on over there, but I am piqued. I am interested. I'm just saying.
It has piqued my interest.
Yes.
Usually have fancy $4 words. Anyway, God, I love it.
If paying attention to the colors are important, cross this editor off of list of careers. Being colorblind sucks. Well, no, so it's important to me. Like, as an editor myself, I want to try to be helpful in as many ways as possible to the book. But I think a lot of people would agree that you certainly can focus on one thing. I have always found that focus is not a nuance that I enjoy. I would rather be the jack of all trades. If you want someone who's amazing at one thing, I'm not your guy. But if you want someone who can really come in and hopefully help you with a bunch of shit and be supportive on a bunch of different levels, great. I got this. I can juggle. It's just that hyper focus. It's not me.
It's just so funny because I never really learned color theory, and I'm like a working artist. Like I spent so many $1,000s of my parents' money going to UT Fine Art School, and I learned shit about color theory. And I've only just recently been really trying to study it and actually trying to be like, because so much of it is still for me just kind of relying on what looks good. It's like, that looks good, I guess.
Right.
No, I feel like my kids here, and I feel like turning around and being like, so I know you wanted to go to school for art, but UT is off the fucking table. They can't even teach you colors, all right? So fuck them.
Well, the problem. Okay, I want to be clear about something. Let me be clear about something here.
I love UT. They're good to me.
Let's not go crazy. Okay, here's the thing. UT is fine if your goal is to go into like a graduate program and then get grants to do weirdo art installations made out of chicken bones or something. Like, that's what the UT's illustration program was deleted the year I went. Wow. That was part of the reason I was going to go, was because they were like, yeah, we have an illustration program. And then I got there and I'm like filling out the classes I'm going to do. And it's like, where's the illustration course? They're like, oh, that got taken out. So I'm like, all right, I guess I'm going to spend the next 4.5 years being passive aggressive to all of my teachers. Well, it was more they were passive aggressive towards me because they were like, what's this comic book fuck doing in here?
Right.
So
where are they now?
Nope, that's the end of that story. Anyway.
Dude, so okay, let's go back though, because we have had such a great chat, and you know what? I know you guys are probably tired. You guys have had a long day. You've been on a million streams. I know exactly what that's like. So why don't we give Medusa a little bit more love? For those of you guys who have not heard, they have this absolutely amazing book going on. I was lucky enough to get a copy of the first issue and read through it. And like I said earlier on in the program, if you weren't there, I don't know how to fucking describe it. It was an awful lot of fun, and it was like nothing I had ever been able to enjoy before. So if you're just in it for a new experience, this is the place. But
we had someone in our stream earlier today, and I'm trying to remember exactly what they said because it was hilarious. They said, I read the first issue and it was so good it made me rock hard, or something ridiculous like that.
It was like a pull quote we're going to use now.
Yeah, you have to. Yeah.
I need to go find it and write it down, but it was that's that person's endorsement. If that doesn't sell it, I don't know what does.
And I love that you don't necessarily know the person. You're just like, they don't matter. They like the person's name doesn't matter. It's just that endorsement was so great that let's just use them. Like, you're in.
Yeah, they gave us permission.
That's all you did. Right away, you were like, "That's a pull quote. Who the fuck are you?"
No, that's literally what we all said. We were like, I think we need to use that for like the sideshow edition or something.
Yeah. I'm gonna go find it. Matt, you talk for a while. I need to find this quote.
Matt, why don't you give this book some love and tell everybody, you don't necessarily have to sell it, but tell everybody what they're in store for when they pick up.
Well, I think I'm gonna have to call it that from now on. But
It's great.
With varying levels of sexiness,
Oh,
depending
yeah.
on who you're pitching it to.
It depends on the issue. Yeah.
Right.
Anyway, I'm gonna say that we really did endeavor from the start to make it. It's not necessarily that we were trying and focusing on making it unique and trying to outsmart our readers or outsmart the rest of the industry. Just things started going a certain way, and you've got a really solid formula when the boulder starts rolling downhill, and it just keeps going because you've done all the work to get it uphill and build up the hill, and now it's going, and you're like, okay, it's just taking the path that it's going to naturally take. And that's one of the things I like so much about it, because it felt like every other day Paul had a new idea for a side plot, or like a one-shot side story, or like a total like a B plot or a runner. And just like, because when you have a really solid foundation and a really solid universe with solid characters, you just start putting combinations of characters together, or you create situations, or you just nudge them in the right direction, and you'd be surprised that you get like, okay, this is this character, this is how this character is going to react in this situation. And I think that's that's a sign of really solid storytelling. And we worked really hard to make each of these characters feel totally fleshed out, even though a lot of them are kind of pre-established in a lot of ways, characters that are part of our shared cultural mythology. But it's like, how does that character work, and how do they interact in a world like the one we created for them? So that's I feel like that's a pretty good long and the short of it.
Absolutely. So do you have the heart on there, Laurie?
No, it was a YouTube comment, and it's not letting me look at the chat, and I'm very upset about this.
Well, if the video is archived, we put it up as a screenshot at one point. Didn't we? Well, not a screenshot, but we put it up on screen. For streaming.
Oh yeah, hey, yeah. If I pop through the video, I might be able to find it. Okay.
Yeah, I thought it was early on. It was like in the first half, I think.
Yeah. Matt, how many of these, like, do you do a lot of these live streams normally, or do you just find not so much?
Honestly, I already do a lot of YouTube stuff for Rage Select and all that. So I do a podcast, and now I'm doing a semi-regular live stream sort of sub show with Laurie and Sarah, where I coerce them into watching a kaiju movie, and then we spend like 2 hours yelling about it. And I'm happy to say that I've basically made Laurie and Sarah and Sarah's boyfriend Jeff all basically into kaiju fans. Like
yes.
For her birthday, I sent Laurie a copy of the Ishiro Honda biography, because I know how interested she is in that. You're welcome. Yeah. It's a beautiful book. I started reading it on plane flights recently, and it's some of that. And for those who don't know, Ishiro Honda is the director of the original Godzilla and just a ton of other Toho movies from that era. He was a close friend of Akira Kurosawa, and just an incredible talent. And so, anyway, I'll take just about any opportunity I can to like yell at people. because I am a little bit of a natural showman and show off, I have found. But I've only got so many hours in the day, and I've got a lot of stuff to do, so I don't. I'll do a StreamYard here and there. I'll do a live stream here and there. But
he'll let me drag him to a StreamYard here and there.
Oh,
that's true. That's true. I guess this woman is editing my book, and she did bail me out like 19 times when I was late on stuff. And I mean, I talked about this earlier. Laurie actually recently inked an entire book for me. I was just on pencils, and I think there was like one page there were 2 pages you didn't ink, just one that I did just to get the style of it, and one that I had someone else do just because I wanted to take some pressure off your points. And she killed it, absolutely killed it. It's the Spectre Man book that's coming out early next year.
I'm so excited. It's so cool.
It came out really cool.
well, when I was on Laurie's show a couple weeks back, I was gushing about the Transformers piece you guys did together.
Oh yeah, the deck building game.
Yeah. Oh wait, we did. I did that, didn't I?
Well, we got a lot of stuff going on, guys.
You know what? This is. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No. All I was gonna say was like, that was because the first thing, Laurie did a couple of test pieces for me early on, so we could kind of find a way for our styles to gel. And I remember the first piece she inked for me, I wasn't 100% happy with, but I was really biting my tongue because I didn't want to make her sad. But then I came to learn that Laurie is the sort of person who, it turns out she's actually really easy to work with, and you can just tell her the thing. And so now we're like, and then she did some Transformers for me, and I can't go into too much detail other than that. She inked a crap load of Constructicons for me. And she actually did. I really can't wait. It's not really a secret. He's on the cover of the box. She did the full Devastator for me, of the ink Devastator for me, because the cover I inked, but I would think I was able to use that as like a reference point and like kind of unleashed her upon Devastator, and it just came out so cool. So I can't wait.
Always love Devastator, so that's great. And so Dominic comes in. He's got a very nice basic comics question for us. So let's try this one out. What is inking, anyways?
Okay.
Because if you say tracing, we know that's bullshit. So the truth, what is inking?
I mean, it kind of depends on the artist that you're working with too, and the how clean their pencils are or how messy they are. Generally, the inker's helping to clean up the lines. They're adding line with variation, because typically pencils don't have that. So, fatter lines in the front and thinner lines in the back, and then fatter lines where there's shadow and thinner lines where there's light. Then they're adding texture with hatching and all kinds of stuff like that. But it really depends. Like, I have inked some projects where I have to redraw entire things because they're not done correctly. Sometimes it's less work, sometimes it's more work. And it's also it's key to harmonize with the penciler. Like Matt and I, like he said, the first piece was like he wasn't sure, and then we did more and he gave me input of like, well, this is because I have to read his mind. I have to make it look like he's inking it. Our styles have to match. I can't just like pick a style and do that on everyone's art, or it's not gonna work. So I was like, no, just talk to me and tell me what you want to change, or what style you want, or what you would do here. And then after we do that, able to read your mind. Basically, I need to be able to read his mind when I look at a messy piece of pencils and figure out exactly what he means. Especially on this last project, which he's going really fast on. So there's some more scribblies than normal. So I have to know, okay, what are the scribblies and what are the actual lines and stuff like that. These are technical terms, by the way.
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, yeah, that's the thing that impressed me a lot with this last one is that I was sitting here, I was kind of like, I was kind of like, oh, I don't know, like I know Laurie's good, but I don't know, this is gonna be a tough one because we gotta go on this, and just again, like she said, she kind of was reading my mind in certain instances, and I'm just like, oh, look at that, and like they're oh man, and it's like she actually draws the characters how I would draw them, how I would ink them, especially in the faces, because that's something that always like bothers me whenever I've had other inkers do stuff. And I've worked with some pretty good inkers in the past, but a lot of times they're inking just what's on the page. And so you'll get stuff back that it's, yeah, I didn't bother really making this particular panel super tight because either didn't have time or I didn't think I would have to like. There's a certain level of you have to be an artist to be an inker. Like you have to know how to draw. And for example, if somebody kind of effed up a hand, then well, sometimes that's the inker's job then to fix that and to make sure the right number of fingers and digits and stuff. Yeah. And also, I mean, inevitably there's going to have to be, like, especially if you're going really, really fast, there's going to be some things that you're just going to have to give on. You're just going to have to step away from. But I honestly am like, I've rarely been in a situation where somebody's inked my stuff and I haven't had to go back in and like tweak some stuff. But Laurie's stuff is coming in and I'm just like, that's good to go. Send it to Roberto. Get him to color that because because I mean, and if something really does not look good, I will fix it or ask for it to be fixed.
Yeah.
But like you did the main character's face in that one shot where her face is kind of revealed, and I'm just like, she fucking nailed it, like 100%. I thought I kind of rushed that, and so yeah, inking is I think someone did refer to it once as tracing, and I think I tore that person a new one because I think they were specifically referring to you inking something for me. Like I don't remember. Do you remember that?
Yeah, it happens to me a lot, so I just kind of like block it out.
I always assume it's some fucking fanboy who thinks he's smart because he watched Chasing Amy.
Right. Well, you Matt, some of those Spectre Man pages, like you were like on the space ones, you were like, just make it space with the swirlies, and then you just kind of like scribbled it, figure it out, and I basically, like I'm helping guys, I'm not just tracing shit.
Yeah, there really is an art to it, and it's something that's like. Anyway, I mean, I think we've answered the question, but some of these pages just came out.
So Steph Wilson shows up and says, inkers are way more important than editors. You know what, motherfucker? I set up 2 amazing artists, and you show up at the last fucking minute to start on my ass? Fuck you, dude. I finally get you some good art people, and you're not here. This is on you, you circle-drawn motherfucker. LOL, that fanboy is in the chat. Yeah. Great guy, a lot of love. So when I talk shit about him, he knows it's good. But yeah, okay, guys, you have an amazing book happening right now. Miss Medusa's Monstrous Menagerie. It's absolutely seriously, it was so much fun to read, and I really am excited to see all 56 episodes once they're all done and taken care of. You poor bastard, you.
Anyway,
don't remind him. He's not going
right.
He's going to disappear.
One at a time, buddy. One at a time.
Mm-hmm.
Writing is easy. Everyone does it. Yeah. Now find someone who does it well, motherfucker. And that's a true statement, by the way. When people say writing is easy, everyone does it. You're not wrong. But like I always say, find someone who does it well and then keep them around. But yeah, it is done well. Paul does an absolutely amazing job here. You guys have a fantastic book. Please, everybody, go check out this book. Give them that Chuck bump. It's their first day, so they're gonna do, they're gonna do terrific anyways. But give them the bump, give them the love, and please, guys, tell everyone where they can track you guys down. And yeah, just before we head off.
You first?
Me first? Okay. Well, you guys can find me over at mattfrankart.net. If you go to the links page on mattfrankart.net, you'll get all of the things that I'm on, all the Twitters and the Instagrams and the Grandma Twits and whatever. And let me think.
OnlyFans.
Oh, well, that's coming later. But we're just going to put a pin in
With
that.
the great sword pictures.
Sword fighting, if you will, even some sword fighting instructions.
Ooh.
How-to videos. So then I've also got my own Patreon, which is just patreon.com/mattfrankart, where I'm doing stuff mostly for fun, but I've also started teasing out some original stuff that I'm working on that I might be working on with the Unlikely Heroes people in the future. Maybe we'll see. So yeah.
Laurie, what about yourself?
I can't beat that. Sorry. So for the Miss Medusa's Monsters Menagerie campaign, uhstudios.com/kickit. You can back it now. I don't know what we're at, but we'd love to hit goals soon and show you guys some stretch goals. We got metal bookmarks planned and some other really cool shit, free shit for everybody. So you just get more shit. So, and then Unlikely Hero Studios. So we're just UH Studios on Facebook, UH Studios on Twitter, UH Studios Official on Instagram. We're pretty easy to find. We got all kinds of books.
We are currently at 3,368 on Kickstarter. Out
Awesome.
of 5,000. So we got under 2,000 to go, and before we're fully funded. Hell yeah.
We got all kinds of cool shit. We got rude shirts, like not the exact one Matt's wearing, but a different one.
Yeah, not that one.
We have life-size standee. We have hollow foil covers. We have, I don't even know what we have. We have some magnets. We have a lot of cool shit on top of the books. So we even have a sideshow edition, and it has nudity in it. If you're looking for nudity, we got nudity.
Did you hear that, Steph? Nudity.
Yeah.
You got him. Yeah, don't worry. He'll be throwing his bucks in there pretty soon. I can feel it. Thank you guys, both of you guys. Seriously, thank you so much. I had a fucking blast with you guys. Go check out the book. You guys are gonna have a blast. That's right. Follow Chuck on OnlyFans. $1 subs. It'll get it all for the dollar. It's worth every penny. And hopefully you don't.
You just eat bacon, like just seductively eat bacon on your OnlyFans.
Good money for that.
And
some people drip wax. For me, it's grease. Whatever works, right?
Bacon, hot bacon grease.
Poor Matt looked like he threw up in his mouth a little bit. He's like,
whoa. Oh, that's crossing some wires there.
Guys,
pink wires are getting all.
Hey, dude. If you can think of it, it's on the internet. Guys, thank you so much for coming out. We really appreciate you. I have more amazing guests next week. I don't know who the fuck it's going to be, but it's going to be awesome because it always is. Thank you guys very so much. My name is Chuck, and I give a fuck. Take care.